with fake characters that are both good and bad. It is both divine and divine. So the question is, where did the authors find inspiration to create characters that we can embody? So some people are inspired by sports legends. There are people with Hollywood stars. He even built an idol to be the villain always for the cost. And today, let's explore with me a list of anime characters inspired by real people to see in real life what they're doing. In the author's hands, how is it shaped? Don't worry, let's get to the main course. If you're all too familiar with dreamy works, the magic of Studio Ghibli, like the Spirit Land or Howl's Mobile Castle, then you will surely be surprised while enjoying the movie Floating Wind. The Wind Rises. This movie is a sad a love story about the war, dream and a man who loves planes more than loving yourself. Main character Jiro Horikoshi. It's not a fictional character, it's based on a real person, real work, an engineer who made a deep mark on Japanese history. Jiro in real life. Born in 1903, he was an outstanding aeronautical engineer. It was the Mitsubishi A6M0, the kind of plane that used to make the entire Pacific. In World War II, you're not a warrior. They're not militarists either. He's merely a computer engineer, passionate about mechanics. It's almost completely separate from the outside world. No noise, no color. Jiro is a man of work. Patent improved and repeated testing. All he loved was aerodynamics and piston engines. These are cold numbers on the blueprints. In the movie, director Miyazaki blew on Jiro, a poet's soul. Not just a computer engineer with rulers and compasses. It's a man who dreams. Know how to feel and love. Love comes when I meet you. A girl as fragile as wings. Bring me tuberculosis. That fate shortens the lifespan, but it makes every moment priceless. Jiro and Naoko's love is not noisy. It doesn't burn, but softly as the morning dew squeezes through the mountains. A feeling that's both beautiful and fragile, as if they loved, with eyes and silence more than words. They met in the event. Love each other in silence. They got married in a race against time. When do you choose to give up treatment to live every day? Next to the one I love, the audience watches the wind. We're not just following an airplane journey. It's also a journey, building a relationship between two people, where love doesn't promise long, dare to bloom quietly under the shadow of war and disease. We've been watching planes soar into the sky. I saw my heart sink to the bottom. When you see two people trying to hold on to happiness in a world that's cracking, love is not long but deep. An incomplete but hard to forget ending. If Jiro, it's a guy who puts his mind to the propeller and the spindle. Jiro of Miyazaki. It takes more heart and care. For every dream I pursue, a man of logic turned into an interlocutor with skepticism. The engineer is now a philosophical thinker. It's so poetic that people have to take off their hats. AI tells people dry technology con. Miyazaki has already modified an operating system for you. Full emotional inner constant update through each event. And maybe so too. Floating Wind is not just Jiro Horikoshi's story. It's also a parable about dreamers in the grim times. A real character, but reborn with the stuff of sadness. On this list without my rock grandpa Lee. It's a big mistake. And there's no need to guess. Boy, it's inspired by the martial arts legend himself. Bruce Lee, a name that has become a timeless symbol. Bruce Lee, long in real life, is not just a famous action, but also a martial arts expert. The founder of radical religion, to be water my friend. You don't just hit nice. It's a living testament to the power of discipline. Try and break your own limits. Bruce Lee's life was always suspected. He was removed from the big roles for being Asian, but he never gave up. Instead, he turned that very discrimination into motivation. To train and shine, a kind of practical quilt in Western life. Bruce Lee has an indomitable spirit. Toughness burns like a flame that can't be extinguished. His punches and his kicks weren't just for attack. It's like screaming that I'm here, I exist, and I won't stop. So what did Rock Lee inherit from him? No chakra, no magic, no gifts. A young man born poor in skill, but bring in the power of no AI equal. Lee is the embodiment of sheer effort. A student, nothing in the hand but power. Muscles and legs are not tired. Just like Bruce Lee, Rock Lee doesn't just fight with his fists, but also by the belief that effort can overcome innate talent. They both radiate an air that doesn't need a miracle, just blood and sweat, and the way they inspire. It doesn't come from perfection, it comes from spite. Even Lee's portrayal of Rock was public cosplay. The hairstyle is like taking the mold up. Blue suit hugging Chong's suit Bruce Lee. Plus a pair of deep eyebrows anime version. It all makes people just look. It's also a breeze. The little dragon is jumping in the middle of the village. But there's a difference. Rock Lee is not cool as Bruce Lee. Instead, you're depicted in close proximity. It's funny and it's emotional. They may have just punched each other. I was crying when Master gave me an encouraging nod. You're the kind of person that makes me feel close. It's like seeing yourself inside. That's what makes Rock Lee. It's not just a copy-paste. It's a word of gratitude. An anime version filled with energy and inspiration. If Bruce Lee is a monument too, don't limit yourself. Rock Lee is the living proof that, even when limited, we can still break it with pure will. In a world radiating ninja fire calling dragons, Rock Lee doesn't need a miracle. Because you yourself are a miracle. If you're watching Baki, that suddenly saw the appearance of a muscular uncle, bearded, gorilla-style clothes. They look like they want to overthrow the system. The name is Jun Waveru. Don't worry, it's not the eyes. Because it is. This character was inspired by Che Guevara himself, the famous revolutionary who made all of Latin America. You have to change the map color. And now, we're going to anime to go punch each other with S-class prisoners. In real life, he was an Argentinian doctor, but chose to give up a quiet life to become an armed symbol. For the Cuban Revolution, you're not just the guy with the gun. It's also an ideological symbol representing Marxism-Leninism, type of fire. And she traveled across South America from the jungles of Bolivia to the streets of Havana. I have always had an iron belief that if you want to change the world, you have to act, not sitting in the wind. Che Guevara is the symbol of anti-oppression, to fight injustice and not falter. What is special about the anime? Jun Guevara is the muscle-enhanced version of the cover. Also hide the edge. They fought, but instead of liberating the people, he chose to punch the prison guards hand in hand. In the anime you can. He was described as the only one who could freely enter American prisons. At any time, they're even allowed to schedule time in jail for fun. Like going to a hotel. No one caught you. No one can save you, and most importantly, no one can beat you. Absurd physical strength. Indomitable psychology has a very different style. Both the real and the fake Jun are, who are against the tide of society, not following the usual rules. A rebel against imperialism. One guy punches every institution of detention. Someone who inspires by giving a speech. A person who inspires with his fists. But what they have in common is that they don't feel it. They're the living definition of the phrase steel will. Obviously, Jun Guevara in the Che Guevara 100%. It's a deliberate fiction. Take the unyielding rebellious substance, not submit to her power. And then add 200 kilos of muscle, a pair of gloves, and the power to tear down walls with gaze. If she's in real life, it's a symbol of liberation from oppression. Jun in the anime is the symbol of liberation, away from logic, physics, and the legal system. In the middle of a cast of Black Clover characters, it's all muscle screaming. Wind speed. Then Gordon Agrippa. It's like a shadow sitting in the corner. There's just a hauntingly haunting look and a grim voice. Hate for life is not over. With shaping like screaming new hiding deep. Metal about Gordon was inspired by the legendary rock musician C.A. himself, Marilyn Manson. Now let's talk briefly for those of you who haven't heard any music. Marilyn Manson name. Western parents lose sleep for 10 years 91. The artist is famous for his crazy style. She wears black and white lipstick. My eyes look like they've just come out of the morgue. Marilyn Manson wasn't just a symbol of rebellious rock. It's also the role model of the outlier who's making it big. He's often associated with vampires. Modern times. From style to C.A. from. With the message that differences are not something to hide. It's what needs to be lit. In other words, Manson is the embodiment of the heterosexual school, and Gordon is Sao with a style that doesn't look like AI. White as if he had just left the morgue. Lips black lipstick. Talk is rational and doesn't interact with AI at all. It's a quiet presence. It's mysterious, but it gets the viewer's attention. And if you put Gordon next to Marilyn Manson, we almost immediately recognize the similarity. It's pretty obvious about appearance. From pale skin, his eyes were deep, to black fashion style from head to toe. And temperament, I don't like sunlight. They also don't like strangers. With the feeling of giving, both make others nervous, from the beginning by a different appearance. Different and unpredictable. But the closer you look at the contact, we've discovered something that many people miss. Inside that hideous look is a kind heart. Gordon represents the kind of person who's misunderstood. Live quietly in your own world. In the same way that Manson was exposed to the media as a symbol of negativity because he's not like AI. But when you step out of the gothic shell of depression, Gordon appears to be extremely interested, always follow your team, and absolute loyalty to the Black Cow Association. Gordon doesn't have to be loud to prove anything. Just like Marilyn Manson, you don't have to run by standards to survive. They choose to exist in their own way, and that's what makes them unforgettable. Between a noisy world and America, Gordon is a reminder that sometimes the least talkative people, the strangest and most misunderstood, the ones who are always there, quietly stand behind and never abandon friends. There are villains that scare us because they're powerful. There are people who hate us because they're cruel. But Yoshikage Kira, it's a different kind. He makes the viewers back cold. Not for screaming or carnage. It's because it seems so calm. Yoshikage Kira, the kind of person who can kill you without frowning. He doesn't want to rule the world, no more than losing to AI. The only thing he's after is a peaceful life, where he can get to work on time, like lunch, and chop up the woman's hand and smell it every night, like the end of the day routine. Does it smell unstable? If not revealed by author Hirohiko Araki, I probably didn't expect that either. This character was inspired by David Bowie, so let me answer your question about David Bowie. It's one of those eccentric music icons and the biggest smoke of the 20th century. They call him the alien of the artist world. Always appear with a non-sexual appearance, asymmetric gaze, and fashion style as coming from the future. Gawai's not just a CA, he's a phenomenon. Every time they appear, it's a redefinition of strangeness and fascination. And one of his most famous image is Ziggy Stardust, a rock star from another universe. Strange but enchanting. And that's what inspired Kira. A different beauty that doesn't actually repeat itself. His form is his dashing blonde hair. Eyes as cold as ice. The way Kira appears is not so striking. It always gets people sucked in by a strange attraction. It's not clear why. If Bowie creates beauty out of difference, then Kira, again using beauty to cover up my warped self. He is the embodiment of the dark side in the desire to live peacefully, where peace is achieved by destroying everything. Make me uncomfortable. So a twisted psychopath and a nerdy artist. Is there anything in common? We can see David Bowie are people who use weirdness to pull the world out of its comfort zone. And Kira, he's the one who uses his perfect appearance to hide his rotten insides. Someone who's a pioneering artist who breaks boundaries. One is a murderer. Normal use as a cover for the sick. They both make people unable to take their eyes off, but for very different reasons. Yoshikage Kira is the kind of villain that has obsessed viewers. I just can't stop watching. Like David Bowie on stage. It's strange, but there's a wordless attraction. And JoJo, as always, it never made me 7. When creating a character with an identity, unique personality in 2, there is no magic. Power or fight is the character that impresses. There are characters who just need to live, love. The years are enough to keep the audience quiet. Chiyoko Fujiwara, legendary actress in Millennium Actress. It's such a case. The whole film is like a film that goes back in time, where Chiyoko not only reprised the role, but relive every memory, every moment. Immerse yourself in your own life. And behind that cinematic image, it's the silhouette of two real women. I used to make the whole of Japan. Setsuko Hara and Hideko Takamine. Setsuko Hara is known as the goddess of Japanese cinema. He's a familiar face in the director's films, with sad eyes and a soft look. She used to play the role of rich, self-sacrificing women. It's a beautiful and deep sadness. Meanwhile, Hideko Takamine, it's a symbol of a resilient and independent woman, associated with the works of Narusi. Roles that suffer but don't suffer. Suffering but not letting go. And Chiyoko is the sum of those two. A woman who lives in the flow of cinema and the times, carrying the desire to love and be loved all my life. What makes love? You especially don't run after a big dream. You don't want to save the world or do great things. All you want is to see the man you love again. Even just once. That love lasted through the war, through career ups and downs, through old age. Not for hope, but for myself. It's become the motivation for you to survive. And at this point, she's like both Hera and Takamine. The women of the time, both soft and steady. Live your life for something bigger than yourself. In Millennium Actress, Chiyoko's every role is not just a movie. It's the slices of your life. From Princess Sengoku period, female astronaut to wartime girl, you never stop running. It's not because you were chased by the AI, it's because you're always chasing the shadow of the person you love. So in the end, your boss is AI. It's a fictional character, but it's also part of the collective memory. It's an imaginary star, are pieced together from real shadows. and as well as cinema. You don't belong to a particular era. You are the representative of an endless nostalgia for the desire to live fully with emotion, despite time and fate. Shiyoko is a testament to real-life inspiration. It's not just character building that can touch the viewer's heart by the simplest of things. About Himura Kenshin, people don't just remember red hair, reverse-edged sword, and legendary saying, "I won't kill anymore," but also remember a pop symbol of atonement by action, a repentant assassin. It's rare for an anime character to build so deeply, but few people know that. Kenshin, it's not entirely a product of the imagination. Kawakami Gensai prototype. He's a real killer in Japanese history, famous at the end of the Bakumatsu period of the late Edo period, when the shogunate collapsed to make way for the Meiji. He is one of the 4 great Hitokiri, the notorious assassins who served the movement. Anti-fascia contributed significantly to the Meiji restoration. It's a new era for Japan. Among them, Kawakami Jindai is distinguished by its lightning speed. There's even a record that says he used to hit his target in broad daylight, without anyone realizing what just happened. Even with the name of the killer, Gensai doesn't appear cruel or cold-blooded. On the contrary, he is famous for being calm, talk less, and have style. So quiet that it's called a ghost in the wind. Kensei Genshin is the archetype of a sharp swordsman. Ideal and lonely, one who chooses to fight for the future, knowing that you may never live long enough to see tomorrow. And Himura Kenshin is Sao. You used to be Badosai, legendary assassin of the Bakumatsu period, a man whose name scares his enemies. In the tumultuous years, when Japanese society is engulfed in violence and change, Kenshin is the cold-blooded sword of revolution, a tool designed to kill, not allowed to hesitate, and you're not allowed to feel anything. But when the war is over and the peace, it also began to be built. Kenshin chose to let go of the sword, or rather turning the blade. Katana bar replacement, killed with a reverse-edged sword Sakabato, as a living word to his own bloody past. We're not going to kill anyone from now on. He left the glory and the darkness of the name 8. Wrong to wander around, where to help people love. Save the lost people. Not to be forgiven, but to take on the consequences of the past. Your existence is a way of redemption, silently unflattering as you are. Quietly but never stop walking. Comparison between Kenshin and Gensai. We see that both of them are time-stricken, used as a tool. Throw it away when peace comes. They both fought for the ideal, but they all suffer the consequences of a lifetime of solitude. The difference is that Kenshin was redeemed by love. I have friends who have a small home to go back to. And Kawakami Gensai, after the war ended, they were executed by the Meiji government because it's no longer necessary. No favors, no medals. It's just a cold ending of someone who has given his all. And that's why Kenshin is an idealized version of Gensai. You are forgiven and loved. That in real-life jealousy has never had a chance. Your story makes clear for the simple, but deeply no matter what the AIS done. If you don't stop, you can still be good people. High School of the Dead is a survival action series. Zombie fan service, chest vibrating slow motion, real guns, and so on, and clouds. In general, there are enough factors for a high-quality experience. And in the middle of a beautiful, muscular cast of characters, fiery or cold, Hirano, they appear as if they've just strayed from an old internet cafe. She's myopic, heavy, fat face. Talk is open and special, winning guns like a retired mercenary. And surprise yet, Hirano is the real name of the author of this manga. It's one of those things that brings itself into the story, both revealing and extremely graceful. Her Hirano real life is a mangaka, famous for the right style. Hirano in stories passionate, guns, fat, good, adorable. I like to cram pop culture into every frame, and have a knack for creating characters that don't look good. But psychologically speaking, he is the author of Hellsing, famous manga with vampire guns, Nazi Germany, and a lot of heavy blood. So you put yourself in a zombie series. The end of the world is actually understandable. Her Hirona in High School DxD is a kind of anti-main BDSM. Interesting, not handsome, not good at martial arts, but become the weapons expert of the survivor group. Without her, the students must have become zombies from episode 2. You know how to shoot, know which gun to choose for which situation, and especially passionate. It's like the end of the world just for you. Live true to your taste. What's interesting about this character is that the author, not built perfectly, but to keep her self-deprecating, bizarre, and slightly introverted otaku, you're still considered a fat gun guy, still blushing when standing near pretty girls, but when action is needed, He's the one who pulled the group alive, compared to her real-life prototype. The Hirono in the story is the satisfied version, where passion is not ridiculed. It's become a life-saving skill. This is clearly a very creative self-portrait fanboy. It is proof that, in a world where we can die at any time, don't laugh at the kids. Maybe they're the ones who will save you. Blonde hairy, biceps like coconuts, Siamese shirt-tearing chest and special voice screams. It's as if every sentence is a script. Hulk Hogan is not just a wrestler. He's an American pop culture icon, is the face of WWE's golden age. Who elevates wrestlers from entertainment to become a global show? Hulk Hogan is muscular but approachable. Big but cute. But the most interesting thing, you've been in anime without a movie. And that's Baskin Fist of the North Star. Anime that smells of testosterone and post-apocalyptic violence, where every punch is an explosion, and every scream is a childhood call. Bask is not the central character, but it only takes one appearance for the audience to remember. Super huge body giant, typical American muscle style. Especially Hulk Hogan's face and beard. There is no need to explain, everyone knows this is a cameo, unofficial of wrestlers, myths in the Japanese anime world. But what's interesting here is it's not just the looks. It's about both of you representing American power. Outspoken, wild, and something a little to hand. If Kenshiro is a character with a strong personality, the god of post-apocalyptic martial arts, then Bask represents the type of hit before, ask after. Very American, very object. Have you ever seen Dragon Ball? That's when Goku was a kid. I don't know what a blonde is, there's no Super Saiyan, hasn't turned the planet into fireworks yet. I'll definitely remember a strange character, but the biceps are bigger than a screenwriter's brain. That's Major Metaltron. At first glance, you might think this is just a mini-boss. Red Ribbon Army. It was built as a platform for Goku to reveal his power, but if you're a big Hollywood movie fan, then you will immediately realize this character has the same kind of character. And it in real life is the world bodybuilding champion, 10-year-old action icon 8910. He's also a world-renowned destroyer. The legendary trilogy of the same name, The Terminator, was born in 1984. Arnold immediately became the ideal model for countless versions, Cyborg Extermination later, and Dragon Ball. I didn't miss the opportunity to capture that image. Major Metallicron appears in the arc Red Ribbon. It's obviously a parody version of Terminator. Face perpendicular hair combed properly Hollywood style. Channel public body as cast in smelting furnace. And especially when Goku punches you in the face, he exposed the machinery inside. Waichon classic scene of the destroyer exposing the robot body. Arnold, the Terminator, is cold and silent and goes where it is. Kill for the mission. And Major Metallicorn is like a slightly buggy version. Hardcore let in. But there's still a bit of Dragon Ball humor. In the Bastard universe, where magic destroys, heavy metal exists as two sides of a coin. Then Diamond. It's the perfect embodiment of madness and obsession. A strange villain is screaming. Makeup as fashion, evil, and lock substance, pressing others with a dramatic smile. Diamond is inspired by King Diamond, one of the greatest symbols of black music, metal and heavy metal. Dramatic King Diamond. Just hear the name, you know how big his size is. Is the leader of Merciful Fate. And then King Diamond. He's famous for his phantom falsetto voice, stage performance style as a ritual to summon evil spirits, and especially, his face was always dressed in black and white as a mask of evil. Devil opera. King Diamond didn't just sing, he acted. You built a whole thing, a strange dark world around his character, with the blood of candles and stories of death. The Devil Traitor. And Diamond in Bastard is the anime version of all that. From black and white face paint, straight from the metal album cover raw, to the laughter he screams every time he shows up. They are 100% King Diamond. Even the name Diamond, as well as a transliteration of the word diamond. Diamond is not the kind of villain with a heavy philosophy. He's simply a mashup in the middle of a visual nightmare, an auditory hysteria, a direct blow to the king. Diamond and heavy metal culture. Now this clip has one more object. I have to admit, boxing guys. This is a source of inspiration for many mangaka come so. I'm going to introduce you to Terry Funk. Creative source raw character Terry Man in Kinnikuman. As well as the names above, Terry Funk's profile is just as bad. He's one of the biggest names in American wrestling, 20th century, tied to hardcore wrestling style. That means you're not on the floor dancing beautifully, but to smash each other alive and dead. loved for its durability, the spirit of fighting to the end, and also the sincerity to the desert in every performance. Fank is not an American wrestler. It's the kind of friends we want on the team. If I have to go to the floor tomorrow. And it was that pattern that inspired Kinnikuman. Building up Terry Man, my friend, my brother, and sometimes the keeper for Kinnikuman, not because of impulse. Both represent the spirit of unrelenting combat. Even if the body is torn apart, even though the opponent is stronger. Terry Funk in real life has had battles to the point of breaking teeth, tearing my forehead but still not giving up. And in anime, Terryman sacrificed his arm to save his comrades. A calm demeanor, loyal and willing to suffer for others. It's all about creating a righteous cowboy image. But the author Takashi Shimada's more creative point. Terryman is not just a wrestler. You're also the reason tree in the All-Brain Muscle Fellowship, who regularly helps Kinnikuman stand up. Not just with a relay punch, but also by believing that we fight not to fight, but to protect each other. If you grew up with Captain Tsubasa, you will understand because there are many bridges. Every professional in the world has said, I play football for Tsubasa. Tsubasa Zora is not just a talented midfielder. You're the embodiment of pure passion for football. It's a kid who's willing to play football with anything, on any pitch and with any AI as long as it is played. Tsubasa's steadfast and idealistic innocence, along with curving shots that go beyond physical logic, he became the living symbol of the Japanese dream, want to reach out to the world. And that symbol, inspired by a real person, Kazuyoshi Miura. It's also known as The Secret, is King Kazuyoshi. You're one of the players, Japan's first professional football, competing abroad. I went to Brazil as a teenager to pursue the dream of becoming an international player. It's like Tsubasa's journey in the anime. His career on the field lasted almost immortality. At the age of 50 still playing professionally, and more importantly, he embodies the spirit of resilience, indomitable pursuit of dreams. Interestingly, Miura is a real person that originally inspired the author Captain Tsubasa. But then, the anime itself inspires Miura. Follow the football path to the end. It's a dream loop between life and death, between reality and animation. They both have beautiful ideals about football. Not just to win, it's about connecting and pushing your limits. They all came from a time when football was not the sole Japanese national drug, but they choose to go against the current, bring your aspirations to the world, and their efforts are totally worth it. When both become national symbols, not just because of talent, it's because they love football to the end. If someone asks, is Tsubasa the idealized image of Miura? Otherwise, the answer is that Tsubasa is the dream Miura started. But Miura herself, it's proof that dreams can come true. In Captain Tsubasa, Roberto Hongo is a former Brazilian footballer, ever competed at the top, but had to retire early due to vision problems. When he arrived in Japan, he met Tsubasa, a boy who plays football as if born to play with the ball, and realized something. A dream that he himself had dropped. And so he became a teacher. The guide. The first person to take the Japanese grass dream out into the world. In real life, show Roberto's main inspiration was Socrates L. Dr. Captained the Brazilian national team in the 1980s. Socrates competes with head and heart. With smart, relaxed style, extremely technical. Out on the football field, he's a medical doctor and writer, political and social activist, a footballer with ideals of freedom and justice. Socrates is one of those rare players. Just competed at the top. I've read philosophy and journalism and political activism. They call him the ultimate intellectual player. He is also a symbol of work. Football is not just a goal. It's a way to understand and change the world. More and more Captain Tsubasa fans, they also realize these two characters are so similar. They're all from Brazil, the cradle of art football. They all carry a deep fatigue. With extreme sports, with the pressure of fame, with the system, they all find a new meaning. To see a younger generation starting to, the dream I had unfinished. If Socrates used to use the field to fight for democracy in Brazil, Roberto, I used to play football for a Japanese boy. They all believe that football is not just a game. It's a language to change lives, because it's a football anime that carries the spirit of intense dance. Takahashi Yoichi, author Captain Tsubasa, didn't just draw eye-catching matches. It's about building a series of characters, inspired by the great people of world football background, Diego Maradona, Rooney, Ronaldo, and so on and clouds. From personality engineering to lifestyle, it's all about deep understanding and true love. That's what he did for the ball. Probably in Takahashi's heart, football is not just a sport but a fire. It's a light that can pass from one person to another, from one generation to the next, from the story page to the audience. And from the television screen straight to the young dreams. Maybe that's why Captain Tsubasa isn't just an anime. It's a childhood memory, our dreams that start to roll like balls on the grass. And it's the silent drive that drives people to wear their shoes and run out into the yard. The famous Detective Conan. It's not just as well known as tough cases, it's also keeping the audience cold back because of many real-life facts. From social phenomena, the crime is real, until the historical cases that have shocked. It's the fake truth that made the emotional level of watching Conan. They are always pushed very high. It's both intense and incredibly real. But what's even more surprising is that it's not just the cases, it's the characters in the story. It's also inspired by real people, leather of flesh. And let me introduce you to the first character, Ran Mori. The girl is based on the image of the J-pop goddess. In real life, Kudo Shizuka is a CA actress, a prominent Japanese fashion icon. The last 10 years, aged 80. The early 90s were famous not only for their sweet voice and elegant appearance, but also because of his mature demeanor. Pride and femininity are not weak in you. She is considered the symbol of Yamato Nadeshiko. Modern version, the traditional Japanese woman, but know how to stand by your own personality. We'll see in Ran, Mori has a lot in common with Kudo Shizuka. Long hair characteristic, a face that mixes tenderness and determination, and especially empathic calmness. Somewhat more mature than age. In the midst of a race for wisdom, between how many gunfights, threatening espionage, and continuous crime solving, Ran is the only one who hasn't changed. But it's never passive. Just like Kudo Shizuka. No noise, no bragging, but quietly shaping the beauty of a generation of women. Japan knows who it is and what it wants. But Ran Mori isn't just gentle. It's not just people who wait for Shinichi in silence. You're also extremely assertive. It's a kind of soft power that's not easily swayed. Ran can cry, can remember, can be weak, but when needed, you are the one who can protect others. Dare to fight to protect your friends. Dare to face danger at all costs. And maybe, it's the hard in the soft that makes Ran become the perfect spiritual successor of Kudo Shizuka. Kudo Shizuka used to be a symbol for the image of modern Japanese woman, and Ran Mori is a soft anime, but full of the power of that image. Heibaru AI, or Shiho Miyano, is the kind of organization member in black. Research genius. He turned himself into a child to escape the organization after being betrayed by itself. From a self-contained scientist, and wear a face as cold as ice, she became an important companion of Conan. Not into the spotlight, but be there whenever you need it. And surprisingly, she's also built on real-life prototypes. Akina Nakamori. Circa's voice is full of power and also full of darkness. A sharp counterweight to Kudo Shizuka's Ran Mori. In 1080s, Akina Nakamori is a symbol of beauty and sadness. Grown up cold. The complete opposite of sweetness. The charm of Kudo Shizuka. She sings ballads that bring deep sadness. In an adult way. Make me fall down. Akina's life has also gone through many crises. Pressure and damage make her even more a living symbol for souls. No longer want to run away, but not ready to love again. And as a strange parallel, Heibaru in anime also has all that. She's smart, but not easy to get close to. You've lost your whole family, your free self. I've been turned away by the very organization I serve, used to sit in a cold lab, and face the fact that the world has no place for me. If you don't become insensitive, but you don't choose to be cruel. Heibaru does not avenge life with hatred, but by continuing to live. Be kind. Live slowly enough to see that you are not swallowed up. You're not trying to be strong. But he's the one who carries a lot, often silently making the most difficult decisions, without expecting anyone to recognize. Just like Kudo Shizuka and Akina Nakamori. One is a bright spring dream. One is a light autumn sadness. Ran and Heibaru. It's the two main female versions. Very different from the same story. The story of working out to live on. Love when your heart is full of cracks. Oda Ikiro with his masterpiece One Piece. It's been one of those adventures, the greatest and most emotional anime manga platform in the world, finding the One Piece treasure. It's not just a war of adventure. It's also the ideal journey of discovery, live friendship, freedom, and the desire to reach out to the world. Full of challenges, space, but with deep human values. One Piece succeeds not only because of its unique story, but also thanks to the massive cast of characters, vividness, and personality. If I were to list everything from beginning to end, I would not finish tomorrow morning either. What's more, Oda doesn't create characters for fun. Even the main character, even if it's just a passing appearance, everyone has a clear personality, a specific role. It turns out that every time Oda creates a character, you are all dedicated. Maybe that's why so many of the characters in One Piece. It's built on inspiration. From real people in history or life. I have also seen odor. From Gold Roger to Trafalgar Law. Alvida Bellamy and so on and Cloud. The list is as long as the Grand Line, and if I have time, I'll list them all. But in this video, let's go through the most prominent names. The character that Oda built that we admire. For ingenuity, to create and celebrate human nature, the pirate world. And the first name, I please mention, one of the names most impressive of his rebellious temperament and personality. Boom! She was also one of the female pirates. The best of One Piece. Judge Bonnie, who was inspired by a legend, real in real life. And Bonnie belongs to the worst generation. A group of young people with potential. She's the only woman in the group. But don't think you're the flower. Bonnie's the one whose expression, actions to the temperament are screaming rebellion. And to create such a character, Oda was directly inspired by a legend, really in real life. And Bonnie, she's one of the most famous female pirates in the world, in the early 18th century in the Caribbean. You were born in the wrong circumstances, grew up with the strong spirit of the times. She even disguised herself as a man to get on a warship, fight on a par with the southern sailors. She was born as a symbol of women. I can't accept the fate of that century. In the history books, and Bonnie is described as stubborn, fierce but very intelligent and full of emotions. When arrested instead of begging for forgiveness, she flatly refused to be pardoned to protect her lover and comrade. The way of the jury. Bonnie and Bonnie have interacted many times. Intersection. When you're both female pirates in a man's world, but never to be seen as a secondary component. The second intersection is that they all have complicated and lost pasts. And finally, both women chose to live a life without regrets. Whether it's in the real world or on the page, Bonnie in One Piece doesn't just have the same name as in Bonnie, but also inherited the indomitable spirit. Proud and refused to be labeled. She's one of the clearest representatives of the Oda way. Just honoring history. Just changed to bring the symbols of rebellion into the pirate world, where freedom is everything, and every individual has the right to be true to himself or herself. In a world full of muscle, beard fighting mind and boxing of One Piece, Ivankov appears as a color bomb. Purple hair fluffy like popcorn, long eyelashes like propeller ceiling skirt hugging, loud screaming tie, and confidence as if nothing is impossible. But behind the drag queen is too much. It is a heart to tolerate a man who fights tirelessly for freedom, equality, and the right to real life. Ivankov was the leader of the Kamabaka Kingdom. We're transgender people. Non-standard individuals are living true to themselves. Brother Ent. Queen was the one who helped Luffy save Ace with energy hormones. He's the one who stood with Dragon in the revolution. And the most brilliant image of the hero type, not stereotypical. The main inspiration for Ivankov is Team Curry. Team Curry is a veteran actor. He is best known for playing Dr. Frankenfurter from the 1975 Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's a hit piece of drag culture, parody, and heterosexual sex. In the movie, Frankenfurter is an alien transgender scientist. Extravagant charm, distinct but full of charm. This role has become a cultural icon of LGBTQ+, and Team Curry with extra spirit. It's inspired a lot of African characters, later gender in popular culture. And Ivankov with his hyperbole. How to pose, stage, and personality. Don't ask for AIS permission to be yourself. It's an anime version of the Frankenfurter spirit, but set in the harsh world of piracy. Both are the embodiment of breaking gender stereotypes. And stay true to yourself, even if you're looked at with a hateful eye. All appear as shocking anomalies, but then leave a strong impression, with affection and justice. And most importantly, they make the world big, more colorful just by his existence. And Oda's use of the Curry team's inspiration to create Ivankov. It's a testament to the audacity and depth in the way he builds character. Betty Capone, like Bonnie, is also the worst generation. But in stark contrast to the rebellious girl above, Betty stood out by the calm calculation and lifestyle of a classic-style mafia boss. Always wear elegant and appear with tongue's entourage. Have a meaningful family, with his cool wife Charlotte Chiffon and their tiny baby. Protected as a treasure. Betty doesn't like to shout for freedom. No desire to be king. He just wants to live like an old man. In my own world. Not controlled by AI. I don't want anyone to touch their family. With inspiration from Al Capone. You're probably wondering who this is. He's one of America's most famous crime bosses. During the Prohibition period, the Prohibition era of the early 20th century, he's the leader of the Chicago Mafia. Control of alcohol smuggling, prostitution, gambling, and a variety of underground activities. With a polite appearance, dress up chew, but you're cold-blooded. In a way, that's willing to order a killing just out of disrespect. Arrested not for murder or smuggling, but for tax evasion. This funny detail also reflects the type of domestic crime. Deep throat, so much so that the law can only find a way around it. Al Capone isn't just a gangster boss. He's the symbol of branded crime that both the media and popular culture are afraid of. Oda may have been impressed with this guy and decided to create a character for himself, with many similarities. They both built their own empires based on trust, the order and sanctity of ammunition. Everyone loves family in their own way. They are not emotional, but are willing to do everything to protect themselves. And they all represent a kind of cold, persistent force. No outburst. Non-violent overflow land. That's as reliable and accurate as a scalpel. Betty in One Piece may not be the preferred character, frequent spotlight, but every time they appear, in the manner of a true godfather. Especially in Evil Island Cake, where he planned to assassinate Big Mom. As an internal purge in the mafia world, and if a Capone ever made America nervous in the 1930s, Betty. One Piece fans are scared every time he lights a cigar. Because I know that's when the war started. Black Strawberry in One Piece is one of the most unpredictable villains. He first appeared as a drinking comedian who ate cake, and then killed a fellow traitor to the organization. Take over the most powerful devil fruit Yummy Yummy no Mi. He's the only one who has to demons. Break all the rules that exist in that world. He doesn't have a handsome appearance, without a deep philosophical statement, not as cool as many other villains. But that's the scary part. Blackbeard is the only one who dares to do anything as long as the goal is achieved. He represents the dark side of the pirate dream. If Luffy is free and altruistic, then Blackberries are extremely selfish liberals. And all of that Oda didn't build randomly. It's based on a real person, used to make the entire Atlantic Ocean shiver. Edward Teach Blackbeard was a British pirate, operating in the early 18th century. Famous for being one of the pirates, the most notorious and brutal in history. I call him a Blackbeard because he has a long beard. Even put a slow left wire in your hair when you're out in the field to create this horrible smog effect. With its own private eye strain, he became a master of fear. Sometimes it's just the name Blackbeard. It was enough to get the captain to give up all his possessions. The real Blackbeard, not really a swordsman or a strategist. He used psychology and brutality to create power, exactly the same way Marshall D. Teach to use chaos to rise. Mortal Teach is one of the best examples of how Oda works, not just honoring the pirate legend, but also dissect them, put it in the hands of the villain, and bring them back to life in a whole new way. If Goldie Roger was a pirate with the spirit of a king, Teach is the most naked reflection of real pirates in real life. Live for yourself, step on everything to reach the top. And maybe that's why he's so scary. It's not the strongest that's the most dangerous. It's the one who doesn't give up tricks to be the strongest. So we've just finished. This is a very interesting list, from the writers in the dark to the legendary athlete. The criminals are real, or even colorful cultural symbols. They all exist in real life, and be creatively reborn in the world of anime. I hope after watching this video, brothers are not only loaded with quite interesting knowledge to play academic comedy with friends, It's inspiring. So you can start writing your own stories.